Good to go.
All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining our Tech Talk today. Today we have actually one of our graduates, Albert Tulo, and they're going to talk about their experience here at the Tech Academy and landing a first job. Feel free to leave all your questions in the chat and we will have a Q&A section at the end. But thank you for being here and take it away.
All right. Yep. My name is Albert Tulo. I graduated from the Tech Academy March of this year. I started I think it was back in November. So I got through the whole software developer bootcamp in 5 months. I really made sure I knocked it out. But this is probably going to be a little different than how I remember seeing these roundtables go. I'm going to use LinkedIn. I'm going to use a nice little Google spreadsheet I made because I had a hard time finding a job. Most people have a hard time finding a job. I remember going to the roundtables and people saying, yep, I've been graduated for 2 years now. I still haven't found a job. And I'm just going to pretty much go about it exactly everything I did. I know back when I deleted the spreadsheet, I wish I didn't. I had applied in a 5-month span to 234 jobs. And out of those 234 jobs, I got 1 job offer. There's a lot of stuff that I knew I should have done better. There's a lot of stuff that, towards the end, it's like I finally got a niche. I had a nice little routine for every job that I applied to. But I'm going to just kind of go over, for example, I started applying to jobs again, just because I'm scared my job is going to be on a tail end because right now I'm just doing maintenance work. They haven't had any projects for me. So it's like, all right, I'll just look, what's the worst they say no, or I find a job that pays more, right? Just the way that the market is right now. So my background, before I was a software developer, I was a car salesman. I was a service writer. And if you know anything about car salesmen, we're crazy to be car salesmen in the first place. We're talking, people say, oh, you work 9 to 9, Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. I worked 13, 14-hour days, Monday through Saturday. And then I was a sales team lead. So I'm a workaholic. I really am. That's kind of why I finished the program as fast as I did. And that's also why I've applied to so many jobs. When you hear them say in the job placement course that finding a job is a full-time job, it is. Because if you've applied to any jobs you see, there's really 3 different types of ways that you apply. When you go on LinkedIn, you add your resume, you're done. Or you click apply with resume, which is just your LinkedIn profile, done. Or you have to go on their website, fill out every single box manually, and we know those take a good amount of time. So, but I just like saying that just because a lot of stuff that I did when I was looking for a job was more because of my work ethic. I just want to get it done. I'm going. So some people aren't like that, but we're gonna go through that and everything. So like I said, March, I got my full stack software developer certificate from the Tech Academy. Before that, I tried the free route, trying to get some of the cheaper, freer certifications. To me, that didn't work. I really didn't feel like I learned anything from those anyway, so that's why I went into a boot camp. I do have an associate's degree in automotive service technology. It's technology, but it's, at the end of the day, it is to be a mechanic. It just has a fancier degree. And then, like I said, we did that. So I like to go through my whole thing, like I said, just because it shows I had nothing tech related technically. If you want to include being a service tech, cool, I was, but to me it has nothing to do with tech because I'm working on cars, right? But to me it shows kind of my my drive to work, right? I've worked multiple jobs at one time before in high school and going through college. So it's not like, for example, when I was at Bill Jacobs, I worked at Jimmy John's. I don't have, because this is supposed to be, to me, my professional profile. But I work 2-3 jobs at a time. That's just how I am. It's how I'm wired. My dad's wired the same way as where I got it from. So for my LinkedIn, you will see the Prospering IT Consulting, the live projects. So for example, if you go through anything but the full stack software developer bootcamp, you will just have the 1 live project. I had the 2. I just combined it. I actually didn't get to start the .NET developer because I found a job, or the .NET live project because I found a job before I graduated. But it is what it is. And like I said, I know I didn't mention it. I did find the job before I graduated. So, like I said, it was a full-time job. The moment I started from the boot camp, I was applying the jobs. So now I'm going to talk about my job now, right? So I work for RedSpeed, USA, Illinois. You'll see it both ways. I am a .NET full stack developer working with C#, SQL, ASP.NET, some bootstraps that we use. I've worked on pretty much every system that we have on this. I can't talk more about it in the nitty gritty because contract stuff. But I do work on our databases. They've actually been teaching me a lot about networking, which from what I understand isn't that common as a software developer. Usually there's a whole nother just IT department for that, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, they even offered to take me to some college courses to learn more about networking and hardware, just because usually they have it all as one person. My job isn't your standard software engineer job in my eyes. You know, for example, in the Life project, you worked on a team, you had your stand-ups every day. Mine, my only boss, he lives in Ukraine, and I maybe talk to him once a month. You know, I get everything through email. They didn't have source control until I started there. I was the one that pushed for that. So I got to set up our source control for all of our systems. So it was really different. I feel like I've done stuff that I wouldn't have done if I had, you know, for example, a job at Amazon, which I'm thankful for. So that's going to kind of lead me into the whole applying to jobs. So like I said earlier, I applied to 234. I deleted that, what's it called? A spreadsheet, because it's not just on LinkedIn, Indeed, LinkedIn, whatever jobs popped up on Google when I looked up software engineering jobs in my area. But the nice thing about LinkedIn is I can actually show you, if you didn't know this, now you know, where you find jobs that you did, what's it called, apply to. So if I go to my jobs, you know, some people don't get into LinkedIn this often. Trust me, with how much I spent in LinkedIn, I kind of learned where everything is. Now, for some reason, LinkedIn, it's weird. Some jobs will show that they are, you know, no longer taking applications. It feels like some of them just got completely deleted, because I know for a fact when I get back to, like, for example, my interviews, my interviewing process, how I went through those didn't even pop up here, and I know I applied them on LinkedIn. So I don't know if they just delete it. I don't know how it works exactly. But currently, like I said, I started applying to jobs right now just to do it. Might as well. I had applied to 95 jobs. I think it was 89 before I started applying again. Yeah. So just on LinkedIn alone, 89 jobs, plus or minus, like I said. So, and you'll see there's the whole list on here, which the nice thing with this is it'll show you who actually looked at your resume. You know, for example, if you applied to Amazon and you're sitting here waiting for Amazon, you could check, did they even look at my resume? And we're going to talk more about that with the resume builder. I'll show the one that I got my job through, which resume I used. Me and Carly spent a lot of time making. But, you know, it's a nice little tool to see, okay, why aren't I getting responses? Why is this not happening? Obviously, if they're viewing your resume and you're not getting a response, something else is going on. Is it something you put on your resume? Did you send them the wrong resume, which I've done in the past? There's different reasons for that too. But like I said, I like showing this just because you can use it as a tool. However you want to use it, you will see a lot of these never actually even looked at my resume or my application. There's a ton of it. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show on LinkedIn. Now, the thing I like to show too, because I've been helping a couple of my friends that either went to school for software as a computer science major or went through a boot camp, is the actual jobs. I like to go through and see, you know, what do they have, their job requirements, all of that fun stuff. I remember in another tech talk like this, someone said, don't even, you know, don't care, just throw your resume out there. You never know who's going to get it, which to me it is true. Believe it or not, I hated the .NET framework. I hated C#. I hated SQL, and that's what I'm working with now. When I went through the boot camp, I absolutely hated it. I prefer JavaScript, I prefer Python, I prefer working with React, but lo and behold, now I work as a .NET developer. So what I look for really is what they're looking for, right? Obviously, I don't care about their preferred experience. I really don't. If it says anything more than 2+, just ignore it, to be honest. 5-year, 3-year, whatever. Because, for example, my job, I believe it said 2 years experience with a bachelor's degree in computer science. And here I am without any of that, and I'm doing really good with my job. So, but you'll see what other stuff are they looking for. Sometimes, there's your bachelor's degree, minimum salary, maximum salary. I don't worry about this. At this point, to me, when I was looking for a job, I didn't care how much I got paid. I wanted a job, right? I went from making really good money as a salesman to making nothing. I just needed a job, pay my rent, right? Now, obviously, everyone is different. You have kids, you have a husband. But once you get that first job, to me, that's when it's like, all right, I get maybe 4 to 5 messages on LinkedIn a day compared to nothing. Since I've gotten my job at RedSpeed, I've gotten, I think, 55 messages. So once I show the spreadsheet, you can see out of those 55 messages, I could have gotten another job too already. And I've only been working for 6 months as a software engineer. And I like to show that too. But like something like this, I would apply to, right? I don't care about the bachelor's degree, right? If they like you, they'll take you, right? 2 to 4 years, okay. I know SQL very well. I know there's a lot of complex stuff with SQL, with stored procedures and such that I know I could answer. Cool, I'll apply. That's fine. This is all the same stuff. It's literally like, okay, we want bachelor's degree, we want experience. You need to know SQL. That's really all I'm looking at right here, right? I don't care about the other stuff now or back then, right? I just wanted a job. Now, when you get that interview, when you get that message of saying, can we jump on a call, talk about the position? First, pay attention. Which job was it? Right? Was it the Judge Group? Was it U.S. Bank? Right? Do some research, because there was some interviews that I get the question, why do you want to work for ABC? And then it's like, well, I heard it's a good job, da da da. They don't want to hear that. Some places like to hear you guys have very great company morals, or I love the fact that you guys donate to children's charity twice a year, stuff like that. Some of those companies, if you do that much digging into, they'll raise their eyebrows and be like, oh, okay, it sounds like you really want to work for us. And I did do that for one company and got to the 3rd round interview before they said, no, we're going to go with someone else. Could that have been the reason they picked me? Maybe, maybe not. But, it's just little stuff like that too that really kind of gets you like, okay, is this person really wanting to work for us, or does this guy just want a job? If you just want a job, go to McDonald's. That's what one of the guys said to me at an interview. So that's why it's like, once you get that interview, make sure you check, hey, what's going on? Where was this to? And that has bit me in the butt a couple times for interviews. Another thing too, some companies, that say they're fine with a Bootcamp certificate. All of the ones I talked to, not necessarily interview, when I said I was still doing the Bootcamp, they said, nope, we want you to complete it, and hung up the phone on me. I remember talking to Carly about that. They would literally hang up the phone on me because they didn't care, because I could technically drop out of the Bootcamp tomorrow. They want to see the certificate. But like I said, my job wanted a bachelor's degree, and I obviously don't have that, but out of everyone else that they applied to, I was the one person that they seemed like, okay, this kid wants to work, he wants to learn, let's give him a shot. I'm just kind of looking around. Like I said, some stuff I would like to point out. A lot of this preferred competencies, I really don't.
Hey, Albert.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Great presentation. Can you make the screen a little bigger with your LinkedIn?
Yes.
Just zoom in a little bit.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I did that for the one. The next thing. But again, something like this, I have no clue. I don't know anything about AWS other than it's from Amazon, right? If you know a handful of it, I say apply. Just do it, right? Because there's some interviewing tips that I'll give that work with that. The one thing, so here, I don't want to, I'm not even going to show it because I saw one company that I stay away from. There's some companies where you might have heard from them where they offer you training for like I think it was 24 to 26 weeks was one of them, and then they help you get a job, and it's all contract based. Okay. Those companies I try to stay away from just because, for example, you'll go through the training, they pay you $16 an hour, right? Most of those companies require you to relocate. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And then what happens is when you get a job through them, you are stuck at that job for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the contract says, unless you get terminated or they relocate you themselves, right? So, for example, let's say you get a job, they get you a job, they say, okay, you have to move to New York tomorrow, you're getting paid 40 grand a year. If you know anything about New York, you're not going to be able to live off of 40 grand a year in some of those apartments, right? You might be living in your car. Those companies I try to stay away from. They're good, for example, if you have the extra money saved, you can take the hit of 2 years of living off of that lower wage, because it does give you experience. You're almost guaranteed 2 years of experience. Now, if you don't get a job, you're still stuck with them for 2 years, and they're still going to pay you to $15-16 an hour for training, which is pretty much just sit there and we'll give you some random projects to work on. That's pretty much rudimentary, just to hone your skills. I've done a ton of research on this company because I almost took an offer from one, but it's all contract based. You have to pay money if you want to get out of the contract. It's bad business to me, but some people, if you need a job, if you're struggling but you're able to take the hit, it is another route. I don't want to say the companies, I don't get in trouble for that. I just saw them on the list. I'm not going to say which one it was. If you've seen the company, you probably saw it on there. But I personally, like I said, stay away from it. Right now, you want a job, you want a normal job in my eyes. So now I'm going to more talk about your resume and your whole interviewing stuff that I learned. So this is my updated one that I literally took the one me and Carly made back when I was in the Tech Academy and updated, right? Go ahead, give me a call, I'll just block your number. But it's very basic, straight to the point, right? Another thing me and Carly learned was, for example, if I was applying to a let's say a front-end developer job or a back-end developer job, what I ended up doing was this experience summary. I would edit this to tailor more to back-end and front-end. Right now I'm doing full stack jobs. I prefer full stack jobs, A, because they pay more, but B, because I enjoy doing both, right? I do like doing both. I don't like one or the other. So this one for me is tailored to full stack, right? I used to have one for front end. I used to have one for back end. Another thing I recommend, for example, if you're looking for back end, rearrange these. It sounds stupid. It sounds so little, but let's say I'm applying for a SQL developer job and my first one, it says HTML, CSS, JavaScript. They have to get to the fourth one where it says, I know SQL. Put it in the front, because it's going to catch your eye. To them, it's like, oh, okay, this guy knows SQL. This guy knows Python, right? C#. These are used in back-end stuff a lot from my experience working with it, right? But other than that, the rest, to me, this is okay, cool. Your framework, everything else. Really make sure you put what you know on here. I should probably put ASP up here, but it is what it is. But like I said, it sounds so minuscule, but if you rearrange, if you're applying to be a JavaScript developer or a React developer, put React in front, put JavaScript in front, right? It sounds minuscule, but that's the first thing they say. Oh, he knows React, he knows JavaScript, cool. They're done. They don't have to sit there and search through everything, right? Now, you guys saw my LinkedIn profile, all my sales, all my this, all my that, right? There was one company that I got to the third round interview for. I really, really wanted this job because to me it would have been perfect, right? They're out of Chicago. I'd have to go commute to the city 3 days a week, but I was working with people. I was, you see a lot of people from the tech community get jobs like, what's it called? Developer assist. Oh gosh, what is it called? I forgot, but it's pretty much your customer service, right? So you purchase, for example, an API from a company and you're installing it to a website that you're making and you don't know how to, something's wrong, something's not working. You contact their support and then you help them, whether it's code issue, whether it's maybe something on our side with the databases or our API. It's kind of like customer service. I really wanted that because I'm working with people more, and with my history and loving to talk, that would have worked out for me. I felt like I would have enjoyed it more. So in my experience, I put sales team lead on here and had this say, train sales personnel on closing deals or whatever, just because to them it was, oh, this guy has experience working with people. And they even said it in the interview. They don't want people that are just developers sitting in their room like I do and work on the computer all day. They want people with the personal skills. So I took out, for example, my Python developer intern, and I would put sales team lead for 10 months, right? Don't list your whole life story on here. Now, I guess the flip side on that, that I've learned when I was a car salesman, let's say you don't have a job that you have, let's say 2 years experience with, right? Let's say you weren't at one position for 2 years, but you have 2 years experience. I would say list that full 2 years here, just because it's going to show you have full 2 years. If I don't know who A and B person is, you apply to my job, this is the resume I'm looking for, and I want 2 years of experience, and this is all I saw. This guy obviously only has, 7 months of experience, right? They're gonna just ignore you. If they want 2 years experience and they're strict on that, put 2 years experience on there. It sounds dumb, but when I get over to the spreadsheet and explain it more, you'll see what I'm talking about. Certifications. What's the most important thing we have? Our software development bootcamp, right? So I use that. I added the honors on there because it does say it on the certificate because I completed it before the 6 months. I'm going to put it on there, right? And then obviously all of the free certificates that I tried doing. Now, if you have, let's say you have a bachelor's degree, okay? Now, if you have any degree, you can use it to your advantage, I've learned. So for example, we saw US Bank on LinkedIn, right? If I should have clicked on it and showed you, but what you'll see in there is bachelor's degree in computer science, data analytics, and then you'll see business management, business sales, whatever. Some companies just want a degree. They don't care, if that makes sense. For example, I applied to, because I have my associates in automotive technology, I did actually interview with Ford. I got to the second round with Ford just because they don't want just a developer. They wanted someone that also knows, how the automotive industry works. In this case, I would have been working on their, if you're a service technician, the UI that they use every day, that's what I would have worked on. So they want someone, hey, this guy has a degree in automotive service technology. This guy, I put that I was a mechanic for 6 months up here, because to them it's showing, okay, this guy knows more than just software engineering. When we talk about something that's automotive related, we're not going to have to train him on something else, if that makes sense. So just because, let's say you have a degree in teaching, one of the companies I interviewed with, they made software for teachers, whether that, clocked time. Some of the software that they sold was actual training apps that they would give to kids K through 12. And I really wanted that job too. They were the ones that hung up on me. I'm not going to say the company, but in their thing, if they said, if you have a degree in anything teaching related, I forgot all the list of stuff, or social worker or any of that stuff, they want that, right? So if you have a degree, it's not necessarily unusable if you're trying to get into tech, but start looking into some jobs that would tailor to that, because you'll see it in the description a lot, like degree preferred, whatever. You know, some software engineering jobs don't even have a computer science degree, and there they had business degree. So just something to keep in mind. You know, if, for example, if I had a bachelor's degree, I put it right under this, if not on top, depending on what job I'm applying to, because they want someone that understands the industry, right? I work for red light cameras. I don't know anything about red light cameras, but if I had, for example, cop on my thing, which supposedly they interviewed a lot of cops that were trying to be developers, they liked having those people that knew how all of that works on the back end. I just like sharing that because, you know, I saw it. I mean, 234 job applications I sent out, 234 job postings I've looked at. I've seen a ton. And that's why I wish I had the old spreadsheets. So I don't remember when I deleted it. I probably deleted it right after I got the jobs because I didn't want to see any of that anymore. All my resumes, all that fun stuff, because I was sick of it. I'm like, I'm done. I got a job. But here I am applying to jobs again because why not? What's the worst that they say no, or I'm making $80,000 or $100,000 compared to my beginning wage. But yeah, tailor the resume to whatever you're applying to, but keep it simple. One page, everything that they would want for a software developing job for me, it's right there. If you're doing cybersecurity, if you're doing whatever, I completely forgot this is more than just software developers. I'm sorry, but hopefully you kind of understand what I'm talking about too. So now when it came to interviews, what I'm wearing right now, do not wear what I'm wearing right now to an interview, right? I've been working all day and I was actually busy. I'm checking the work email, just make sure no one's contacting me. But I wore a suit and a tie every job interview. I did. When I was a salesman, I wore a suit and a tie every job interview. And the only reason I say, you know, make sure you look presentable is, for example, when they saw me in a suit and a tie for a couple of the interviews, they instantly were like, wow, you're not wearing a sweatshirt. Thanks. Like, this is nice. Because, you know, especially these jobs that you're hybrid or you're going to be in person, they're going to want dress pants and a button-up shirt. When I go into the office at my job, they expect dress pants and a nice polo. You know, they're going to want to see you, you know, present yourself as if you were walking into the office every day, right? I'm being a hypocrite right now. I haven't shaved and I was rushing to get back on to do this, but trust me when I say, you know, that first impression, it's going to be a huge difference. One of the jobs I really, really wanted, I thought he was calling my cell phone when in reality he was sending me a Google link to meet. So I was 10 minutes late to the interview. He still went through the whole interview. Of course, he said something. He's like, why isn't your webcam on? I'm like, I really thought this was a cell call because it says you would have called me between 3 and 3:10. But in reality, he sent me a Google Meet link. So my lesson on that was make sure I looked prepared, even if it was just on the phone, because what if they want to jump on a video call? One of the texts that I just got, I probably can't show it without showing the phone number, but they want to do a video call next week for an interview. You know, that's the first job I applied to since I graduated and got a job, and I'm already getting an interview. So I'm 1 for 1 on interview. If I get a job offer, then I guess I'll let Carly know. Maybe she can update this. But another thing with the interview too, try to, I don't want to say study, but try to study what you're applying for. So when I was, the one job that I really wanted that I mentioned that I would have been a customer service rep for was JavaScript mainly, right? They used JavaScript, their APIs, everything, jQuery, JavaScript, SQL, whatever. That's what they used. So I brushed up on JavaScript, some React stuff, because you never know if they're going to ask something that pertains to their framework or libraries that they use. You know, I just brush up on it. You know, even some simple stuff on how a function is created, because on my technical for that, they're like, here's the API, this is the function that they put onto it, what's wrong with it, why is it not working? And one of the answers was there wasn't a parentheses closing out the function. If you don't know that, you know, some basic stuff like that for a junior developer is what you can expect. Now, on the flip side, like I said previously, I hated .NET, I hated C#, I wasn't the best with SQL, and I'm a .NET developer, right? I will never forget my interview for this company, and I know I told Carly the day after it too. It was the worst interview I ever had. There was 3 people on the panel: my boss, the guy that's technically my equal, and then the HR lady. They were asking me questions about .NET that I didn't even know was a thing until the interview. And I was so embarrassed. You could see how red my face got. It was a tomato. And I'm just saying, nope, I don't know that. I don't know this. I don't know that. It's a junior position. So it was that definition, like this is a junior developer position. They're looking for someone that's easily mid-level. And I was so embarrassed. I never had an interview where it's like, I'll be honest, I don't know that. I didn't even try faking it. I was honest with them. I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know that. They asked me 3 questions about SQL, and I answered all 3 of them on SQL right. And then one guy was like, "Cool, at least you know SQL." I'm like, "Thanks." In front of 2 other people, he was saying that, and I'm like, I'm not getting this job. 2 weeks later, I get an email. I actually got a text on LinkedIn. The HR lady said, "We're still looking at your application, and I just have a couple of questions for you." I'm just like, you guys pretty much made fun of me at the interview because I didn't know anything. Now you want to look at me? Okay, cool. And then that was while I was doing the interviews with the job I really wanted. Now, the job that I really wanted, I went through all 3 rounds. First one was just with the HR, the manager. Hey, how you doing? Are you a real person? The very basics. Second one, I met with a little panel, and because it would have been the people I would have been working with in office, and that was more aptitude. What kind of person? What's your values? You're a salesman. Tell me about that. They would care more about the person than the technical. Last one was the technical. That was the longest interview I ever had because there was some technical stuff, but then I met with individual people on the team, some of the senior developers, mid-level developers, and they asked me different questions for a different topic. That interview ran from 8 a.m. Central Time to 3 p.m. Central Time. And it was just back to back. They did give me a 15-minute break in the middle, which was nice. But it was just back to back to back. And I thought I aced it. I'm sitting here thinking, I got this job in the bag, pays great, I can't wait. I really want this job. Even the HR lady called me after. She's like, I heard you did really good at the interview. I'll let you know what they say within a week. And then that same day, I got the job offer from the job I work from right now, where I completely butchered the whole interview. And I did tell my job, I'm going to wait a couple days before I accept it because, I'm waiting on one more offer. The next day, they emailed me saying they're going to go with someone else. I'm like, all right, well, at least I got one job offer. So I ended up taking it. Thankfully, that's why RedSpeed, when you saw on my LinkedIn, was at the top of my job thing. They were the last job I applied to on LinkedIn. So I don't have to apply to any other jobs. But I mean, I'll show you I won't get in trouble. I know I won't. But let's just see. Qualifications: bachelor's in computer science or software engineering is preferred. 1 year experience with Microsoft C#, .NET framework. I don't use ADO.NET. I do use ASP. I do use XML. Web services, data structures, collection, caching. I really don't work with data structures often at all. Collections I do, caching I do. They don't have this installed, which was funny, but they did want someone that knew how to use different source controls to implement it for the gentleman I work for. Other than that, I mean, the only thing I guess I met in this, I do not speak Russian or Ukraine, is I know how to use Visual Studio. Out of all of this, I know how to Visual Studio. This is a job I have. So that's why, the conversation of just send it out, I agree with, because I just sent it out. I didn't think I was going to get this. But at the same time, it's, I wouldn't say, especially if you've been looking for over a year right now, I don't want to say don't be picky, but don't be picky, right? I hated .NET. I hated doing it. But after doing it for 6 months, I know if I got another job doing .NET developer, I'm not going to turn it down because I know it now. I actually enjoy it. Another thing, too, is don't be afraid to do some, what's it called? Freelancing. I do some freelancing. I'm currently making this website right now for a buddy. I know it's going to be laggy because I'm streaming everything. But this is a website that I'm making for as a freelancer, right? I use different APIs. This is all made through React, and I like doing freelancing now because it's going to take me away from doing .NET developing all the time, right? So this, to me, this is my fun. So that's why I'm showing it, because I'm not going to say how much I'm making because there is a contract, but I'm making a couple grand off of it. However much or little you think a couple grand is, that's how much I'm making off of this one. Just to give you an idea, pretty much once I got my first job, especially freelancing, much quicker, much faster. I get stuff all the time now. And if you want to put in terms how much I'm going to make after my job and all the freelancing stuff I've done, you're probably looking 90,000, and I only started in March, just to give you an idea. So that's, to me, how important this first job is, if you want to talk about income wise. My last thing, I know I had a lot of topics and I skimmed through all of them because it is so much. But if you have any other questions that we're probably going to open up soon, I just want one more thing to show you guys. You could go ahead and put me on LinkedIn. The nice, handsome man in the suit, Albert Tulo IV. Make sure you put me down. You can ask me questions. The only reason I don't answer is I do get so many LinkedIn messages a day to where it's like, all right, I'll get to you. Don't worry, but add me on LinkedIn because I do share. For example, I look at this every day because LinkedIn became Facebook to me when I was at the Tech Academy. So I went on it every day. I will share, people looking for other developers. I don't have a million connections, but the ones that I do have, I make sure that I share everything. I completely forgot it. This whole time when I rehearsed this, I forget to mention. Don't just put full stack developer here. Don't put backend developer. Don't put cybersecurity. Don't just put that. List everything out. There's an algorithm. I still get a lot of profile views and everything. I'm a huge analytic person. This is my old number. Don't worry. But when they search, when an employer is looking for a C# developer, okay, cool. There it is. SQL developer. There I am. .NET developer. Is this the same thing? Technically, yes. But what if they search .NET developer? What if they look up full stack developer? I only put this here because my job is that, right? I don't care. I'm not looking for a new job. But before this, it used to be C#, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Redux. I put everything I could on there, just because when someone searches for it, it's an algorithm they're going to look, and that is why I found out you put the / instead of a backslash or a tick, because it does separate it. That's what I've heard. I don't remember where I heard that. I think it was from Career Karma. But someone literally went through the whole analytics for LinkedIn. But last thing I want to talk about. So when I made this spreadsheet, LinkedIn only said 89 jobs applied. And this is why I say it's a full-time job, right? Like I said, I applied to 234, got one job. But if we just looked at my LinkedIn, just for a simple math and everything, I applied to 89 jobs, right? Out of those 89 jobs, 22 applications were actually viewed, so 24%, right? I don't know if this application downloaded made a difference or not. So I just said out of 22 of my applications, 9 of them were downloaded for 40%, whatever. I don't think this mattered. So I just so you know, the rest of the percentages are based off my application viewed, right? I had 5 interviews out of 22, out of all of them on LinkedIn, right? I had 2 second-round interviews, so half of them I was invited for my second round. This might refresh because I accidentally clicked something. Okay, and then I only got 1 job offer, right? Out of my 2 second-round interviews, I got 1 job offer. So that's why I say, for example, I don't remember what they said in job placement. Carly, maybe you can help me with that. But I could have remembered. I thought job placement was a month-long course, and they said, I think it was 5 a week or 5 a day. I really thought it was 5 a day. But like I said, I did more than that anyway. So just to give you an idea, if you do 5 a day on a 30-day month, you should get 2 job offers statistically, right? And that's the way I look at it. I'm a numbers guy, so that's why it's like, okay, why am I not getting job offers? Well, that's why I wanted to make sure. We're even 10 daily. So, okay, that's even more. So what is that, 300? I don't know, math quick. Oh, wait, that's not the one, this one. You know, you should be getting some job offers. If you remember, if you do 10 a day, 100%, that is, it's statistics. It really is. So 234 jobs, you know, I should have gotten technically 2 job offers. I almost did, but I did get 1, right? So I would follow that 10 a day, 100%. If you do it on the weekends, you know, technically you'll have more of a chance, but it is a numbers game. At this point, the more people, the more resumes you send out, the more chances you have of someone seeing it. It is, it's a numbers game. It really is. I'm curious to see, with me applying to jobs with only 6 months experience, what I get, just to see. I'm honestly, most of it's just to see. I'm happy with my company. I'm happy with the pay. What if I get something that pays more? Great, I'll take it. If not, what's the worst? They say no, right? I have a job. So definitely, if you're interested in seeing how that goes for me, follow me on LinkedIn. And then if I get another job, you'll obviously see it on LinkedIn, and you can ask me about it. But that's pretty much all. Like I said, I know I jumped around a ton, just because I wanted to go through so many things in an hour time. But I hope you kind of see what exactly went through my crazy head when I was looking through everything. The most important thing to me is the resume. Make sure you tailor it to whatever job you're applying to. Like I said, interview. Even if you spend 5 minutes researching the company before you go through the interview, that 5 minutes can help you a ton. Now, if you have, I technically have 4 monitors up, my work monitors and my personal monitors for this. But if you have multiple monitors up, use it. No one's going to know. Just, you know, put the company's website there with their beliefs, you know, put something about JavaScript or whatever type of job you're looking at, just some refreshers, easy basic questions that you see. You literally Google and see all the different questions, and some of those, most of those in the technicals, I actually did get asked. Just take 5 minutes before, and you'd be surprised how much that 5 minutes helps, because at the end of the day, it is more about you than it is the job at first, right? I think what landed me the job was I really honed into is, you know, I'm a fast learner. I learn things quick. I want to learn more. You know, I don't know this, I don't know that. I understand that, but you know, for me, if you guys give me the chance, you know, to sit with me and show me a thing, you won't have to show it to me a second time. And I only say that because it is true. Obviously, don't say that, you know, maybe it takes you a second time. But, you know, my boss talked to the owner and said, yep, he's really happy with me just because it is true. He shows me it once and I got it, and then I continue and I build off of that. So that's why I think I got this job, because they saw, okay, this kid, you know, I like what he says. Let's see if he gives it. Supposedly, I'm the only second software engineer they've had that actually lasted this long. That's what I've been told, but we'll see. Because, you know, it is, at the end of the day, if you ask senior developers, I have a lot of friends that are senior developers, you learn every day. The day you stop learning is the day you should be worried about your job. That's the way he said it to me. But yeah, I'm going to stop ranting. I'll answer questions because I'll probably answer most of them better than my rant. So let's see if that's okay.
Yeah,
That's
go
fine
for
if I go
it.
through the chat. Okay. Miss Jade, Mr. Jade. Where do you get my freelance? I do all of them. Fiverr, Upwork. Most of my higher paying ones is word of mouth, which for some people will be harder. So my Dynasty detailing one is actually a company that one of my more well-off friends is starting. So, you know, for example, he spent a lot of money just on that domain. So he can afford to have me, you know, do a live chat system for him, use Square's scheduler API and design it how he wanted. You know, he has the money to do that. But all of mine have been word of mouth. So his I'm doing 2 more for a couple of his friends. One of them is going to be like an actual app that's paying me a good amount of money. I did something for some of the dealerships I worked at. Word of mouth is always going to be the best because they know you, right? But like Fiverr, Upworks, I started with just doing the $5, $30 jobs. You know, a lot of those really do only take you maybe 5 minutes to actually work on, compared to the longest part of that is actually going through the process of the interview and getting all the information from them. But do it, because at the end of the day, it's going to give you stars. It's going to give you everything you need to help grow that. So now when I go on Fiverr or Upwork, you know, I do get, you know, $50, $100, $200 price tags on them. What's the worst you do, right? Your GitHub, make sure you have a couple projects on there for those that you can demonstrate. Nice thing about me is, you know, some of these are actual websites that I can just put into as like, hey, I made this website, I can do this for you. And that's been good enough to help me get Upwork stuff and Fiverr. Because a lot of it is quick, but you know, if you do let's say $5 in an hour, the money will add up. So that's that. I recommend all of them, to be honest. Should you also add freelance? I do. And I did have freelance on my original one that helped me get the RedSpeed job. Anything to me that is related to what you were applying to, do. So that's what this React.js developer, and I put contract on there just because I'm showing that it is a freelance, but I am under contract through July or August. And I asked the owner, he said, cool, that's fine, I could put you on there. But if you do put freelancer, you know, say you do Fiverr, Upwork, etc. on there, they might, the nice thing about that is if you did do a couple projects, you know, I did get asked a ton in all of my interviews, give me an example of a project you worked on that you had to do this, right? And I did get a lot of my experience doing those different questions through Fiverr, Upwork, through my freelancing more than I would say my actual job. I hope that answers that one. With all the jobs you applied to, were they all remote or were you open to moving? I mainly did everything in the Chicagoland area, but I was open to traveling 2 hours. So there was a couple in Indiana. I believe Iowa was within that range. Now, for me, for example, there was one job I really wanted. 2 places I'm open to moving. Like if you told me I had to move there tomorrow, I could do it. Is Arizona and Tennessee. So I did apply to jobs in Arizona and Tennessee. I guess that's more going to be up to where you are financially now, and also how much are you going to be getting paid, you know, from the company. I will not take a job offer to LA or New York making less than 120,000. I'm sorry, I can't. It is. I have buddies that live in both, and they're paying triple in rent that I pay here. And I do live in the Chicagoland area, which, if you know, it's not cheap. And they make more than I do, but they're technically more broke than I am. That's my answer on that. Because it all just depends on your budget and how much you're making, where you're open to moving. But yes, I did apply to pretty much everything. Is there any way skills focused to apply for a job like a sniper instead of a spray and pray method? So there, yes and no. Now, I guess it more depends. For example, what you're looking for. So if you're looking to be strictly a React developer or a SQL developer or Python, that's when I would say that's going to be more of your sniper stuff if you have a preference, right? If you want to work remote, if you're open to hybrid, if you're open to that. Because then you can easily search, you know, just Python or just that one framework on LinkedIn. And if you have experience doing Django projects for 3 years and you're applying for Django, pretty much all of those you're going to be good for, right? Because they're going to see that you have experience for Django. The spray and pray, to me, it's to me, I didn't care. I didn't care if I was doing Python. I didn't care if I was doing JavaScript. I really didn't want to do .NET developing. Going to be at first, I really did not want to do it. So like that's really going to come down to your preference. But that's going to kind of lean into make sure you tailor it though to whatever you're applying to. Like I said, if you're trying to do JavaScript, move it to the front. React, I would move to the front. Just even though it's two different things, what do you use in React? You use JavaScript, right? So that's how you're going to sniper. It's really going to come down to, right now I'm only applying to .NET developer jobs because what's my main job right now? You know what I mean? Like, I did apply to a React job. We'll see if they even contact me. But I applied to a junior .NET developer job that on the ad is paying more than what I'm making right now. So I technically I actually exceed what they're looking for because they want no experience. They don't care if you have experience or not. And I have 6 months. So I hope that answers that. It's really just going to come down to your experience and what you're looking for. Jeanette, what is the time frame that an employer? I completely blanked out. What is the time frame that an employer gets back to you with any type of communication once you apply? Sometimes they never come back to you, right? For the example of the one that I applied to, which I think this is cheating. I really should stop using this as an example because it was a LinkedIn message. This gentleman messaged me. We're looking for a .NET developer. I sent them my resume, talked to him on the phone for 15 minutes after, and then they just contacted me to set up an interview next week on a video call. So that was 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You know what I mean? It depends. For example, my current job right now, I didn't hear from them in 2 weeks after my really bad interview with them. It all depends. It all really depends. I wouldn't count on a time frame. Now, for example, if you haven't heard from anyone in a week, I would recommend sending a nice professional email. Hi, just wanted to check in where you at on your hiring process. I really enjoyed talking to you with the last week. I did that a lot when it came to the interviews. I would send out an email after a week just to see where they're at. Don't remember. I don't think I did it for RedSpeed because I really thought I wasn't going to get the job anyway. But most of them I did do where, okay, I sent out the email a week after just, hey, checking in. Some of them replied instantly to that. Oh, sorry, thought we sent you an email. We're not looking at you. Or, hey, we want to have another interview. Sometimes that helps. So it's really just going to come down to the employer, not necessarily you. That's a hard one to answer for a time frame. So did you use a customized cover letter per job? I never used a cover letter, which some people are going to be like, what, you need to use a cover letter for every single job? I never did it because to me there's a reason why there's a cover letter is optional when the resume is required, right? Which one are they going to pay more attention to? They're going to pay more attention to me, to the resume. That's why I really just focused on the resume. I really make sure everything they want to know about me is easily accessible. You can read it quickly and just call it a day. So I think there was only one I actually put a cover letter on, and it was just because it was the company I really wanted to work for. So I went more into the detail on why I would be a good fit for that company, stuff like that. But I didn't use the cover letter for the job I got. Now, if I wrote a cover letter for all 234 jobs that I applied to, maybe it would have helped. But how much time would that have taken, right? There's a lot of nice stuff you can Google for templates. And sometimes those templates are nice and easy where you could just change out a couple words, right? And they'll automatically change it for you. So, for example, if I was applying to Amazon and they wanted a cover letter, I'd use the template, type in Amazon. It changes everywhere that says Amazon and everywhere that says React Developer, which they don't, AWS. And then, cool, I have a cover letter. And then I use that same template for Google. Okay, they're looking for, I don't know what Google uses, to be honest. Let's say .NET. Anywhere that it says, the job role, I'll change it to .NET developer and then change company to Google, and it gives me a nice cover letter. And it sounds professional. There's that route you can go to. I used that route more for my messages, to employers. Be like, hey, just so you know, I applied. Obviously I don't want to use something that's from Google every single time, but it helps because I was more worried about applying to more jobs than I was, making sure every application was perfect. Just because I know one gentleman in particular took him, I think, a year and a half to get a job. He didn't go through the tech academy. He went through a different boot camp. So does that make a difference? I don't know. Because Carly was a big help to me. But he was going down, making sure everything was to a T perfect for every single application so they didn't get a job. So to me, numbers, when I was in car sales, I would talk to 100 people on the day, and I would want to get as many people on the phone a day, just because I know statistically, if I talk to 100 people a day, 20 of them are going to make an appointment, 5 of them show up, I'm going to sell 2 cars. So that's the way I took my job hunting too, because to me, the numbers don't lie. That's how I've been. That's the car salesman coming out. So, and Carly, the thing with that, Carly, now I guess this is a good thing, right? They should give me a raise. This job, I learned so much through working at RedSpeed for the 6 months I did. When I first started there, the first 2 months, the senior developer, I had to get up at 6:30 every morning. We'd get on a call, and the meeting would either last an hour or would last 4 hours of him just showing me stuff on the systems, teaching me for 2 months. So to me, all of the stuff that I learned through this job is worth more than what they pay me. I'm going to be honest. Like, that's why it's like, if I get another job offer paying the same stuff, I'm not going to take it. I'm not, because I know I'm going to continue learning here. I've obviously slowed down because now I've learned everything I needed to know just for our system. But if I compare the stuff that I learned through working at RedSpeed compared to what I learned at the boot camp, I feel like I could compete against people that has a bachelor's degree, easy, no, without a doubt, because I didn't know what half of this, maybe 80% of the stuff that I work with on C# or .NET was until I started working here. It's just, there's too much to learn on any given framework that can be covered in 6 months, that could be covered in a year, right? That's why they have 4-year degrees for it. But even then, you're not going to cover everything. There's too much to know. And with how much it changes, I went to a React conference in Chicago, and just all of the changes, even just some simple stuff as now you don't need a semicolon after everything in React. You don't learn that from school. You can't. It's hard. So that's why, to me, a boot camp's better than the school, because it does get updated more, but you're going to learn a ton off of your first job. So that's all I got. Unless there's any more questions, but.
Oh, that was great. Thank you so much. It's definitely great to see it from your viewpoint, going through the boot camp, landing the job. And I know that sometimes I forget to ask questions or can't come up with any. Would your LinkedIn be a good place if people have questions that they want to ask afterwards?
Yeah,
If you shared, I have it right here.
I forgot how to do linked. I just do this. I'll go ahead and link it in there.
Perfect.
Because I still answer everything on my phone too. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, that's a great presentation, Albert. And you've got some great analytics. It is a numbers game, and the more applications and the more times you apply, the more chance you have of getting your first job. And that first job is key, as Albert said.
Yeah, because there's a good possibility it's got random person messaged me on LinkedIn. This was yesterday, and I already have an interview next week. That's sometimes I'm going to hear within a week without having a job. So there's a possibility next week I'll be posting, I just got a new job offer at so-and-so company for this much more money. There's a possibility. And just because I have the first job. So.
Yeah, once you get that experience, then they do come looking for you. And there's usually a lot of offers after the first 6 months or a year.
Yeah, they'll be coming after you after that. All right, so if you guys, we are recording this, and if you guys do want to watch this back, you can check it out on our YouTube channel. And here's a link where you can look that up. And then also, we're going to have a tech talk next week. I'm still confirming with the speaker on the topic, but in general, we do have some topics coming up, and you can check them out under our meetup page. Oops. I guess that didn't really copy and paste the link. There we go. And yeah, so thank you guys for joining. And thank you, Albert, for your awesome presentation. Very informative. And I hope everyone has a good weekend.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Great presentation, Albert. Really good to meet you in person. And yeah, thanks for doing the talk. We appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Next week.